It's severely undercounted, staggeringly undercounted. The figure now is about 31,000 people in Gaza. It's totally improbable. This is a very crowded enclave. It's about the size of Philadelphia geographically, with 2.3 million people. Since October 7th, it has been subjected to over 65,000 bombs and missiles, including the devastating 2,000-pound bombs, plus nonstop tank shelling, snipers. It was already an impoverished enclave with many of the children suffering from anemia and inadequate food and other essentials due to the Israeli embargo. If you include that these bombs had fallen on apartment buildings, marketplaces, refugee camps, roads, churches, mosques, schools, bakeries, ambulances, hospitals, clinics, critical water mains, electricity networks, just about everything. It is totally improbable to believe that 98.5% of the Gaza population is still alive. Totally improbable. If you then add 85% homeless, exposed to the elements in winter, with no medicine, no health care, no food, very contaminated water leading to child mortality, diarrhea, dysentery, infectious diseases spreading. If you add 5,000 babies born every month in Gaza into the rubble, no health care, no doctor, no midwife, no mother's milk, you got to assume at least 200,000 people have died, mostly children and women. The paradox here is that both Hamas and Netanyahu have a common interest in lowballing fatality figures. Netanyahu, obviously, because the lower the figures, the less the outrage around the world. Hamas, because it doesn't want to give its people more material to criticize them for not being able to protect the civilians and have shelters and other ways to minimize casualties. Hamas is being very intently conservative by saying it's just counting fatalities reported from hospitals and morgues. Well, there are very few hospitals and morgues with that capability anymore, and there are bodies all over alleys and roads and unburied. According to UN humanitarian people, tens of thousands of bodies under the rubble, unrecovered. It's important to have a more respectful body count. These poor people, they are starving. They can't flee because they're incarcerated with a siege. They can't surrender because the Israelis are not interested in POWs and the care of POWs under international law. They're not subjected to protection by the Israeli military as Israel's required under international law to do. As a result, the world, including independent and progressive media, is being misinformed terribly about the fatality level. And of course, if the fatality level is much higher, so is the injury and disease level. And if we get a more accurate count, even if it's an estimate by epidemiologists and others who can make deductions from circumstantial evidence, there's going to be more urgency in the United States, Congress, and the White House, and the allies in Europe to have a ceasefire, to have a withdrawal, to have humanitarian aid pour in and get to their destination, to move for peace negotiations toward a two-state solution.